All right, guys. So last time we spoke was before the U.S. strikes in Israel, in Iran. So last time we spoke, there was a big buildup, and we were on edge, right? This is before the U.S. strikes on Iran. You know, the leading America First voices began to be attacked by the neocon media, and even Trump himself. I'm talking about Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, and Alex Jones, the guys that founded the Tea Party movement, that founded the fight against the globalists and the fight for humanity. These are the guys that are being attacked by Fox News. And even Trump, our fearless leader, the head of the MAGA movement who rode in on the wave of the Tea Party, was going after the very individuals who inspired him to run. And then the U.S. government even launched the doomsday planes into the atmosphere in preparation for the Trump administration to essentially proctor war from the skies. Nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. Every sign pointed towards direct U.S. involvement in the war. But then suddenly we got a glimmer of hope when Steve Bannon was invited to have lunch with President Trump at the White House. This was the spark we needed. I mean, Bannon even had Alex Jones record a briefing for President Trump on air, which he then delivered to the president. And after this lunch, Bannon seemed very optimistic, and he was very confident in Trump's ability, and he assured the people that Trump was not interested in war. He wanted to end this quickly and swiftly. And then on Saturday night, Trump launched a crippling attack on Iran's nuclear facilities, and the world spiraled into absolute chaos. The world was on pins and needles waiting for Iran and its allies to rally against Israel and the United States. Everyone thought all the sleeper cells in the United States were going to activate. We had no idea what was going to happen. But ultimately, Trump came to terms with both nations on a ceasefire. And the entire mainstream media establishment praised Trump on both sides of the aisle. Liberal, conservative, neocon, America First. Everyone was applauding him, except for those few individuals that questioned the war in the first place. We all put our head on our pillow, and first thing we woke up, an hour before the deadline of the ceasefire, Israel had launched the largest aerial bombardment in Iran in the entire 12-day war, and the ceasefire was over. And now we're here, boys. It's been a stressful week. It's been a week full of uncertainty, ups and downs. You don't know who to trust. But I think as we've gone through the highs and lows, I now know who is controlled and who's not. I think every time the deep state runs these ops, they think it's going to confuse us and it's going to trick us and we're going to get lured into their trap. But all they do every single time is expose themselves. It always backfires. COVID was their biggest backfire. I mean, we've gone all the way from 2001, when everyone was applauding the launch of these regime change wars in the Middle East, Iraq, Afghanistan. People literally celebrated bombing other countries who had nothing to do with the 9/11 attack. Fast forward, Donald Trump runs for president. Donald Trump wins. Donald Trump wins again. We have a COVID-19 mixed in there, and now Joe Rogan's the most powerful person in the world. Elon Musk owns the biggest social media platform, and Alex Jones is broadcasting to millions and millions of people every single day. Clearly, their initiatives have not gone to plan. So what were they thinking with this? I don't know a whole lot. Nimrods, where are your heads at? How do you feel about everything leading up to this ceasefire? Before we go any further,
I'll ask both of you a question. Just we might not be on the same page here. Did you think that attack was necessary? If not now, at some point in the future?
it was not necessary. Tell me why it's not. Tell me why it is necessary.
Well, what has been reported, Iran had enriched uranium to make a bomb. That's what's been reported. Iran has chanted death to America for over 30 years. They hate us. They hate Israel. I understand your viewpoint of us getting involved because of Israel. I see it. I see that. But who's to say Iran doesn't do something with that?
Well, guess what?
At some point.
Enriched uranium is used for nuclear power. And the enriched uranium that they're talking about is them becoming energy independent, so they don't have to rely on other countries, and so they don't have to rely on anyone else's oil. So they are trying to have nuclear power, so that's why they have the enriched uranium. And actually, for the past 30 years, Benjamin Netanyahu has been telling us that Iran's 2 weeks away from nuclear weapon. Well, it turns out they've had a nuclear weapon for 15 years. They've always had it. And the funny thing is, Israel's telling us how big of a threat Iran is because they may or may not have a nuclear weapon. Meanwhile, Israel's the only country in the UN that is not allowing any other country to inspect their nuclear facilities. They're not sharing any information about their nuclear capabilities. And the truth is, and the fact of the matter is, they have nukes too. And the only difference between Iran and Israel is that Iran doesn't have long-range nukes. Iran doesn't have intercontinental missiles. And they can't even get outside of the Middle East with their bombs. Israel could hit us dead smack in the middle of our country. So don't tell me, oh, Iran might have nukes. Yeah, they have nukes. They've had them for 15 years, and they haven't done shit with them. You know why? Because they can't go over the Atlantic Ocean. They can't even get to the Atlantic Ocean. They can't even get out of the Middle East. They're not hitting New York City. They're not hitting Tampa, Florida. They're not hitting L.A. We are protecting Israel. They're supposed to be our ally. We're supposed to be partners. We're supposed to have a special relationship where we protect them, they protect us. Well, guess what? They haven't sent troops to our border to defend us against this invasion that we have on the north and south of our country. They're not defending us. And we have people coming into our country. But we're defending them from their neighbor because their neighbor has a bomb that they've had for 15 years and is never used. That doesn't make any sense to me. Israel has an entire nuclear weapons program, and Eisenhower warned JFK about this as he was coming into office. And JFK was aware of the military-industrial complex and how Israel had their hands all over it. This was a Mossad-run establishment, and JFK pushed for them to allow us to inspect their facilities. And then he was assassinated after asking the 10th time for them to allow inspections. So if we want to talk about nuclear threats, maybe let's talk about the country that orchestrated the largest attack on American soil of all time. That would be Israel and their Mossad intelligence apparatus, not Iran. Iran hasn't done shit because they can't do shit to us. They can do shit to Israel, but they can't do shit to us. Does Israel have the right to defend themselves? Sure. But as far as I know, the Iron Dome was turned off, and they funded a group to come in on parachutes and rape, kill, and kidnap all of their women. So yeah, it was a necessary attack.
I do appreciate that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it from a eye level perspective. You can look at it from eye level, and it looks like, oh, that's a great idea. Iran wants to kill us all, and they're building a nuclear bomb, so let's go bomb their nuclear bomb factory so they can't do it. But you got to realize that they're fucking lying about the nuclear bomb factory. They're lying just like they lied about Iraq. They're lying because they want us involved in this war. Why do you think when we were at the end of the negotiations with Iran about the enriched uranium, that Israel started bombing them? Because they couldn't allow the negotiations to go any longer. Why do you think when the ceasefire was declared, Israel framed Iran into shooting a missile and then kept bombing them? Why do you think they did that with Palestine too? When they announced the ceasefire, they can't afford Netanyahu cannot afford to be done with these wars. He needs the wars to continue. That's their motive. It lines up perfectly with expecting the United States to go bomb these uranium factories. It lines up perfectly. All you have to do is put two and two together.
100%. And after this alleged ceasefire, Netanyahu came out and said, in 5 to 6 months, we're going to have to strike again because they're going to have recovered their nuclear capabilities and they're going to be ready to launch again. Well, you know what's happening in 6 months? Well, that's the end of Netanyahu's reign of terror. He is a wartime president, meaning they have postponed elections and declared martial law so that he can lead their country out of conflict. Well, this wartime presidency of his expires. It has a deadline, and that deadline's in 6 months. Is it a coincidence that he says that they're going to have to strike Iran again and get the United States involved in 5 to 6 months? I mean, he's giving us his playbook on a silver platter, and you got to be fucking brain dead, retarded, or just not paying attention. And I think people just are not paying attention because they're not seeking information.
Yeah, but there's also like a $1 billion propaganda effort for people that are normal and just watch the news and just fucking read what they see on their phone. There's a lot of money going into that, and it's Mossad money, it's Israeli money, it's probably U.S. taxpayer money. So, I mean, you got to give people a little bit of slack. You got to cut them some slack because they're simply victims of the operation. I mean, if everybody was informed about the situation, if everybody knew the truth about Iraq, which people are waking up to, by the way, then we'd have a lot more people questioning Israel's intentions, what they say about Iran, what they say about all these countries that are so violent and so not able to be partners in peace, that people would start to question that. So the propaganda arm and the money arm of this is extremely effective.
All right. Then I have a question for you guys, which will help me understand more of this since you guys have done a deep dive on it. Does Trump and his team know about this? Like, are they aware of what's going on? Like, the 6-month mark? Are we going to have to help them again? At what point is he going to pull his ass out of helping these fucking Israelites and keep us the fuck away from war?
Here's the problem. Donald Trump is not controlled. He is fully making all of his own decisions, and he is very confident that everything he's doing is hopefully the right thing. His heart's in the right place. He's trying to minimize casualties and do the right thing. Trump is 100% authentic, and his heart's in the right place. He thinks what he's doing is going to give us the best outcome. Clearly, the day after the ceasefire, when Israel broke the agreement and he was saying, fuck Israel and fuck Iran, they're fucking insane, he realized that he had just been duped. He had been going back and forth with Netanyahu since before he got into office. He sent Steve Witkoff there on their holy day to get their shit together and stop and end the violence. And this has gone on for over 5 months. And it just keeps escalating further and further. Donald Trump also watches Fox News all day long. It's always on wherever he's at, and all they do is kiss his ass. And they say, man, it would be really... Trump is the best president for Israel, and he's going to do the right thing. And he goes, oh, yeah, I am going to do the right thing. And then he goes and launches the bomb. And then he looks back at Fox News and they're like, President Trump, the most fearless leader, the most fearless defender of the free world, he bombed them. It was such a perfectly executed strike. And he's like, oh, I must be doing the right thing. Yeah. Meanwhile, he has J.D. Vance saying, don't do it. Meanwhile, Steve Bannon and Alex Jones have to broadcast 24 hours a day to get his fucking attention and get him in front of them for a lunch meeting to talk about what the fuck he's doing wrong. He's not he's not a bad person. He's not an idiot either. He just has there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and he doesn't know who to trust, and it's a problem. So Trump knows all the variables, but he's being led down the wrong path. He's forgetting that there is a neocon wing of the Republican Party that is not America first. He's forgetting about the people that hate him, that have attacked him. He's forgetting about the Murdochs and how they created an entire network to attack Trump and to demonize Trump. He's just fallen for every trap. Now that Israel once again broke his trust, I think it's over for them. And you see now that he's tweeting about Netanyahu, like, it's terrible what Israel's doing to Netanyahu. He's such a great leader. I think they should pardon him from these charges that he has against him, because he was going to be thrown out of office the day before October 7th. The people were literally storming the Israeli capital, and it was an insurrection. He was done. He was being impeached. But what Trump's doing is saying, oh, he's such a good leader. As the American president, I'm going to vouch for him to get pardoned. And when he gets pardoned, he no longer has any more need for these endless regime change wars. And I don't have to worry about him launching another strike in 5 to 6 months at the end of his emergency powers run. So, again, Trump is playing 4D chess. I was right all along. He didn't launch those missiles because the U.S. is now in a hot war with Iran. His thought process was, okay, if we take out their nuclear sites, this is the one thing Bibi has been bitching about for 30 years. If we wipe out their nuclear capabilities, there's no reason for regime change, and there's no reason for any further conflict. Trump believed that. That just wasn't the case, because Netanyahu doesn't really care about the nuclear facilities. What he cares about is regime change, so that it will sow instability in the Middle East, and he can continue to proctor wars and stay in power with these emergency wartime powers that he has that enable him to be president without elections. Does that answer your question, Joey?
All of it.
I think there's another side that I mentioned last week. There's another possibility that Trump is simply bought by Israel, or he's under blackmail. I think we're coming to a local maxima, or even an extreme point of no return, where we're going to find out if that's true or not. Because if we see Trump go against Netanyahu's bidding, if we see him go against Mossad's operation, then if he's under blackmail, that shit's going to come out. And we're going to see if he's really on the Epstein Island, if he's really under blackmail, if the $230 million that he got from AIPAC really means anything to him. So I think it's going to be a show to watch. And I'm hoping for the best, obviously. I want it to be brought out into the public that he's clear from all this misdoing or any blackmail, whatever, evidence, so that we, as a country, in his next 3.5 years of presidency, can be released from the Middle East. And we don't need to worry about money going over there. We don't need to worry about endless war or bombing civilians or bombing nuclear facilities. I think that we could see a massive shift, or we could see a absolute downfall, and that would probably implicate some coming false flag events, maybe another assassination attempt. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and I think it's important we take some time to address the propaganda. There is a well-oiled machine that is behind this entire conflict and has directly influenced the United States' involvement in this war. So, the Network Contagion Research Institute, which is a allegedly right-wing think tank, which is funded by Microsoft and some very powerful Zionists, has released this report. And this report claims that Russia and Iran are orchestrating a coordinated effort to destabilize the U.S. political right by using social media bots and fake accounts posing as MAGA supporters to spread conspiracy theories and sow division within the movement. At the same time, this campaign claims that major voices in the party are actually propagandists, like domestic influencers Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones, and that they're actually amplified by the Kremlin and linked to Iran. So what they're doing is doublethink. They're saying that all the honest people that have common sense and heart, they're lying to you, and they're spreading propaganda. And now this Microsoft-backed think tank has funded a computer bot army of fake MAGA accounts designed to divide the movement, and then framing it as the real MAGA. So they're accusing the America First anti-war right of being bought and paid for by Russia and Iran, and that we have these bot farms that are spreading misinformation and tricking innocent Americans. When in reality, the neocons have funded a massive bot army to delegitimize what we are saying, the populist anti-war right. And then on top of that, they are silencing people for suggesting that this war is unjust. Nick Fuentes was the first to say it, and it's detailed in this report from the Network Contagion Research Institute. What he said is that on Saturday, when people were freaking out because the U.S. dropped these bombs in Iran, anyone that said the word false flag was suppressed in the media. And if you paid close attention, people that were posting about false flags and suggesting that this was not the correct action, their accounts went under review by X. And all their posts got buried in the algorithm so no one could see it. So if you're scrolling X this time, I saw myself doing it. You're frantically scrolling, looking for some sort of common sense about what's really going on. There is nobody talking about how this was bad. There was nobody talking about what is Iran doing right now? What are they saying? It was all propaganda. It was all Sean Hannity and Mark Levin and Charlie Kirk and Laura Loomer and Tom Luker and all these fucking bought and paid for Zionists and fucking Cat Turd. I could have a whole episode about how Cat Turd is a phony faggot. But we're not going to do that because there's way more important fish to fry. All this to say, they gave us the blueprint on June 18th that they were going to call us fake MAGA, and they were going to attack us, and they were going to turn Donald Trump against us, and they were going to suppress us in the media, and they were going to fund these bot farms to spread the word of their misinformation, all in an effort to influence Donald Trump's hand into doing their bidding and getting involved directly with the Iran conflict and launching more strikes and getting boots on the ground and turning this from a strike to an all-out war of the United States versus Iran and their allies. Mossad and Microsoft funded all this bullshit.
That's true. That's true, Lou. They should call you True Lou. What I wanted to add is that I've seen that firsthand. The accounts. I sent a message into the Nimrod pod. I was like, there's 1,000 of these accounts under any post about the war. And they're all like, whatever. Patriot American 1. And they got the whole page built up like a couple thousand followers, and they all have the same message. It says, if you're not backing Trump, you were never MAGA. You were never MAGA. If you're not backing Trump in this war. If you don't think we need to bomb Iran, you were never MAGA. And it makes so much sense now that that was an operation. I fucking knew it. I could smell it. The posts were glowing. And for the Nimrods out there that don't know what posts glowing means, that means that they're feds. And you can see the glow on the posts because they're fucking feds.
That shit damn near worked. Did work. Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, their comments flooded with negative posts, negative comments about them, and how, like, the separation, they're pretty close to actually splitting up. I mean, Owen Schroyer talked about MAGA's dead. I mean, they are trying to split us up.
Those were the bot farms we're talking about. If you look at their engagement, more views
No,
more
I know
than ever. But it's all these bot. So when you go to look at the replies, you go, "Oh, everyone's against these guys. They're not MAGA. I guess they're right." And some people fall for it. But thankfully, anyone that watches these guys every single day and listens to Joe Rogan every day, like, they know what's going on. Unless they're sleeping through these podcasts. I mean, you got to be nibbling on paint chips from age 6 to the end of your life to be totally clueless to what's going on. And I just want to add, to close the loop on this whole information suppression by Mossad. If you look on X, it was impossible to find details on who Israel was targeting in their operations throughout the entire 12-day war leading up to the ceasefire. If you look at the individuals who they're targeting, they were targeting everyone. Literally every last individual that Trump was negotiating with. And by eliminating all these points of contact, it decreased the chance of having productive diplomacy and forced the hand on Donald Trump to take military action. If you get rid of all the voices of reason and all the points of contact, there's no diplomacy to be done. All we can do is fight. And they even targeted. I really want to emphasize, they weren't just targeting the points of contact and the diplomats. They were targeting every moderate in the Iranian government. Everyone that was like, hold on. I know a couple of these guys are saying death to America, and a couple of these guys are like really extreme religious Muslims. But to be honest, we've watched this entire thing unfold, and we're totally open-minded to the United States getting involved in brokering peace and really try to have, and let's let Iran become one of the trading capitals of the world. We have the capabilities, we have the ports, let's do it. That's the thought process. There's a lot of moderates in Iran, but we just killed them all. So what happens when we ultimately have regime change in Iran? Well, there's no moderate people that are better than the existing leaders to take over. So who takes over? A worse, more Islamic extremist rebel alliance. Fuck, they might even put Al-Qaeda at the head. It's fucking ridiculous. And just to put a bow on this entire Israel-Iran thing, I really want to emphasize that, again, Iran is not a threat. They don't have long-range intercontinental missiles. They might be a threat to Israel, but guess what? They've had nuclear bombs for 15 years confirmed. And this information was kept from Donald Trump until a couple weeks ago. Our threat from the United States of America is actually China. And it directly correlates to the war in the Middle East, because China wants us to be at war in the Middle East, because they know that we're already expending all of our artillery into Ukraine, trying to support their fight for independence against Russia. And China wants us to be involved in a war on 3 fronts. We're already in 2. We've dipped our toe in the water in the Middle East, and it's about to be all-out war there. The 3rd front is Taiwan. What no one's talking about, except for Sean Ryan and Tucker Carlson, is that China has encircled the entire country of Taiwan. Taiwan, obviously, is the home base for the production of semiconductors that power every every electronical device known to man and all of our AI, and would cripple the United States economy. China has encircled them, and they're about to take that land over. Why do they want us at war in the Middle East? And why do they want us at war in Eastern Europe? Because the United States has never fought a war on three fronts and won. We don't have the capabilities. Our military is already vastly unprepared for war in general. And Pete Hegseth is trying his damnedest to revamp our entire military and get us ready to defend ourselves, let alone attack other countries and take the offense on three different parts of the world. That is the nightmare scenario. That's why North Korea offered to give Iran nukes after we struck Iran. This is why Pakistan pledged their allegiance to Iran when we got involved. And China, immediately after we sent strikes into Iran, had cargo ships going into the Mediterranean, feeding the Iranian war machine so that we can keep this war going as long as possible and make them as lethal as we possibly can so that this war continues. And China has an advantage in Taiwan where we don't have the resources to fully defend them. And then as soon as Taiwan goes, our economy goes, our infrastructure goes. And that's when the real false flags happen. That's when the sleeper cells activate. That's when the hundreds and thousands of Chinese military-age men start to act upon their true mission in the United States. China's the problem. Nobody's talking about it. And I would really prefer it if Trump would get his fucking nosy ass out of the Middle East and out of Eastern Europe so we can focus on our real threat. The only country that has the capabilities to blow the United States off the map is China. Let's focus on them before they expand their empire even more, cripple our economy, and force us to get drafted and fight another war or end our lives in a nuclear holocaust.